Chapter 8, The Reality, the Infinite Brahman. The reality supporting the illusory world is Brahman, God. Brahman is the substratum of the individual and the world. The pluralistic phenomenon of things and beings is a mere superimposition, an illusory projection upon the one reality. But Brahman remains just the same, infinite, immaculate, unaffected by the projection. An invocation in the ancient Upanishadic text proclaims the infinitude of Brahman. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om, that is infinite. This is infinite. Infinite has come out of infinite. Take away infinite from infinite, what remains is infinite. Om symbolizes Brahman. Adha means that. That refers to the supreme reality, Brahman. Idam means this. This refers to the world, the pluralistic phenomenon projected upon Brahman. Brahman is supreme, infinite. The world also is infinite in nature. The world has emerged from Brahman. But Brahman is not any less. It remains the same, unaffected, infinite. Lighting candles from the flame of a single candle illustrates this truth. Numerous flames arise from that one flame, yet the original flame is not any less. It remains the same, unaffected. So is it with Brahman. The infinite cosmos is drawn out of the infinite Brahman. What remains is infinite Brahman. As in mathematics, infinite minus infinite is infinite. Another illustration of this truth is that of numerous garments made of cotton. Cotton is spun into yarn, yarn woven into cloth, and cloth made into garments. All these have come out of cotton. Nevertheless, cotton is not any less. Cotton remains as cotton, be it in its original state or in the variety of garments produced.
Finite Brahman. So the first topic is about the invocatory prayer from the Isavasya Upanishad. So all along we have seen the world is illusory, a superimposition. When we say illusory, we understand illusion as that which is a superimposition. So the world is a superimposition upon the substratum Brahman. Brahman is a substratum upon which the phenomena came about. What is the phenomena? The phenomena of subject and object. The subject and object is the phenomena that came out, and that phenomenon, the subject and object, is an illusory projection. Brahman is the substratum that supports the all these. Having said it is the supporter, having said it is this, it comes out of, the world came out of Brahman. When something comes out of something, the original quantity reduces. That is mathematics. Very ordinary mathematics. You have a sum total and something comes out of it. Definitely there is a reduction in quantity. You have 100 million. Even if you take 100 out of it, still it has reduced in quantity. If the world has come out of Brahman, what has happened to Brahman? Does anything happen to Brahman? Okay. If the world merges back, again does Brahman has regained what it has lost? These are all the discussions. And Isavasya Upanishad invocation resolve this problem. How does it resolve this problem? By a declaration. And what is the declaration? Om. That is one declaration. Om is a declaration. Followed by Om, the second declaration. What is the second declaration? Purnam adaha, purnamidam, purnat, purnam udachyate, purnasya, purnamadhaya, purnam eva vasishyate. This is the mantra. Take the word Purnam that is repeated any number of times. It's a very simple mantra. That, Adaha means that, Idam means this. Now, we will study this mantra from two angles. One angle is we read it from the classic Upanishadic sense. Another way is how do we, because classic Upanishadic sense and all is not that convincing. So we will try and read it from a practical angle also. What is this Purnamada, Purnamidam and all that. So first is we discuss it from the classic Upanishadic sense. A very innocuous looking verse. And if we were to split this verse, it's very simple. One noun, that is Purnam. Just one noun, Purnam. Two pronouns. Two pronouns. Three verbs and one particle for emphasis. Very, very innocuous looking Sanskrit verse. It doesn't really go into any complicated system at all. A simple noun, a simple two pronouns, three simple verbs, and that's it. And that single noun is Purnam. That single noun is Purnam. And that word Purnam is what the vision of Vedanta itself is. The vision of Vedanta is in this Purnam. Purnam is whole, complete, filled, infinite, so many meanings. So many meanings can be given to this one word Purnam. Complete. Whole. It's Purnam. It's complete. It's whole. Anything that is complete, full, whole, You may be tempted to use the word perfect, but in Vedanta, we refrain from using the word perfect. You may be tempted to use the word whole, complete, full. It's perfect, no, sir. You can say that also. The word infinite is used. Why the word infinite is used? And it is the most appropriate word to use is infinite, even though we call it as whole, full, complete, infinite. The word infinite is used. Why the word infinite is used? Infinite is not a number. First, we have to understand. Infinite is not a, infinite means it's not a number. Infinite means you add up all the known numbers. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. You add up all the known numbers. Million, billion, trillion, zillion, I don't know what all it goes. You add up all the numbers. The answer will never be equals infinite. If infinite is a number, all the numbers added up must give you the answer infinite. Now, what does infinite mean? You can know so many numbers, and how much ever you know, whatsoever is known, how much ever is known, all the known is anyway never closer to the infinite. How much ever you know, it can never come anywhere closer to Purnam, infinite. So in that sense, we have to understand infinite. So first thing that we have to use is why this number, why it is used infinite. Finite, not finite, that is infinite. Finite means measurable. Infinite means immeasurable. Finite means quantifiable. Immeasurable, infinite means not quantified. You should understand, Upanishadic invocation starts with this declaration. It is not concluding. It is starting with this. Are you able to follow? It is not the end of the Upanishad. It is the beginning of the Upanishad. It means, what do you understand from this? The declaration is given. The proclamation is made. Then the method, the path to get there will be discussed. What is there is declared first. What is there is not darkness. It's not that you are going to do something and find that out. That is one way of thinking. All human thinking can be basically divided into two types. All human thinking can be basically divided into two. One they call it as the Greek style, another they call it as the Oriental style, the Indian style. All sciences follow the Greek style. What is Greek style of analysis? You postulate, you propose, and then you gather data, analyze, and then come to a conclusion. And that conclusion you call it as a fact. Correct? It means the starting point of it is ignorance and the end part of it is knowledge. You start with hypothesis, postulation, and then you conclude it as a fact. Correct? Here, the conclusions are told first. Infinite. That is the Oriental way of, it's very different. That's why we call it as the Upanishadic thinking. The Vedantic thinking is anti-modern education. And so many people ask, why can't we go and teach it in the school, sir? I say, how can we teach it in the school? Because in the school, they say you are ignorant first and then you have to become knowledgeable. Here we are saying you are knowledgeable. What is need to be known is there already. We'll help you to. So it is two different paths. Two different paths. What is the declaration here? Purnam. It is Purnam. And what is Purnam means? Infinite. We will come to Adaha Idam later. First we will understand the word clear, because first we will get thoroughly confused with Purnam, and then Adaha Idam we will study. Once the confusion about Purnam is complete, and once I see everybody fatigued, then I will go to Adaha and Idam. இப்போ கொஞ்சம் freshness இருக்குது. First 10-15 minutes there will be some freshness, so we will discuss Purnam first. While one system, science comes out, another system, religion, philosophy comes out. In science, you come to a conclusion, and those conclusions can be altered again and again and again. You come to a conclusion, and those conclusions keep changing, altered. What you are going to investigate, you don't know. You start with the premise that you don't know, and then you conclude. Vedantic way is exactly the opposite. What we are going to investigate is always there. It is already there. It does not take shape as a result of our inquiry. Remember that. It does not take shape as a result of our inquiry. It is already present even before our investigation begins. Even before our investigation begins, it is present. And what is that? Purnam it is. It is Purnam. Temporarily forget all our logical pattern of thinking. Just temporarily forget it. Story madri ketutu, go back. Don't worry about this. Forget it. Because you get attuned to this, you cannot do that. If you are doing that, you cannot get attuned to this. You can't mix both. Don't try this hodgepodge of mixing both. That is separate. This is separate. Where scientific inquiry stops, age of contemplation starts. We have seen that already. Intellect goes through in 4 stages. What is the 4 stages of intellect? Gazing, superstition, scientific inquiry, contemplation. Purnamada Purnamidam takes you to a point where takes you to the point above contemplation. It takes you to the point of above contemplation. So above scientific inquiry, not contemplation. Above scientific inquiry. And what is a scientific inquiry? You come to a conclusion, and then you say you have to have an open mind also. You come to a conclusion, and you should have an open mind. Because when new data comes in, when new information comes in, when new data comes in, the conclusion has to be altered, changed. Here, we say no new data can change anything, because the conclusions don't change. What Mahavira said, what Buddha said, what Isavasi Upanishad said, what Keno Upanishad said, and what Ramatirtha says, what Ramana Maharshi says, they do not change at all. But knowledge has to grow, no, sir? Correct? But knowledge means it has to grow, no? How can it be the same? Vedanta says it is the same. And what is that the same? Purnam. What is it that is the same? Purnam. The truth which will become manifest was there even before we came into existence. It is not that we came into existence and we discovered the truth. The truth was there even before we came into existence. Truth will continue to remain if even after we go out of existence. Our coming and going makes no difference to the truth. அவ்வளவுதான் ஈசாவாசி உபனிஷத் invocation. Unnecessarily we come and go for nothing. This coming and going is for nothing. The truth remains the same. It was there before. Truth is not formed. Truth is not constructed through our research. In Vedanta, what we do is to bring it to the realms of our experience. That's all. We declare Aham Brahmasmi. I am that already. Truth is ever present. Since Vedanta takes this approach of reasoning, what it does, the conclusion in the beginning, and then discusses the method and the procedure. Conclusion, beginning. What is conclusion? Purnam is the conclusion. And then the method. What is the method? Adaha, idam, all that we will come to that method later. First, the declaration. Okay. Truth can never be imperfect or incomplete. Or whatever is incomplete is only partial, not the complete truth. Are you able to follow this? Truth means it can never be incomplete. The conclusion that we are required to alter tomorrow is not in reality the fact even today. These are all the Upanishadic way of thinking. The Upanishadic way of thinking is, again I repeat, the conclusion that is required to alter tomorrow, in reality, not the truth even today. You are simply calling it as fact. Just because you use the word fact, just because you use the word truth, doesn't become the truth. It simply appears to be the truth because you are using the word truth, reality. That alone can be the truth, which we never need to change. Upanishadic way of thinking, Vedantic way of thinking. But idella velekavadu sir, all this won't work at all. That is different. Here we just listen to what this Purnamada Purnamidam is saying. What is this? That alone can be the truth, which we never need to change. Therefore, the conclusions in Vedanta do not change at all. It will be repeated again and again and again. It will be reiterated again and again and again. Maybe new words will come. It's not a new conclusion. Understand this. New word doesn't mean a new conclusion. The conclusion remains the same. And conclusion is of two. One is you conclude in silence, another is you conclude in words. The conclusion through silence is always qualitatively different. Here, the conclusion is spoken through the words. What is the conclusion through silence? Sanat Kumara and Dakshinamurti. What is the truth? Question. What is the truth? Okay, our answer think பண்றார் போல இருக்கு. So, the question that is asked is, what is the truth? Silent. So, naturally, what the student will think, I have asked such a profound, deep question. He himself has to think so much an answer. After 30 seconds later, maybe he doesn't know the answer. That's why he is thinking. What is the truth? This is one way of answering. What is one way of answering? Yeah. Zip your mouth and stay quiet. That is one way. The other way is by words. The conclusion, words may keep changing. That the truth, because the words are changing, the truth doesn't change. Every generation brings about a new word and they think they have discovered something. Yes, what they came about is a new word. The new word doesn't mean the truth has altered. So, the conclusions that are declared as truths, meaning what? What is the definition of something that can be called as the truth? That alone can be truth, which we never need to change. We need not make any effort to change. Therefore, in Vedanta, what happens? The conclusions are repeated again and again and again. What is the conclusion that is repeated again and again and again? Stage 1, Tattvamasi. Stage 2, Aham Brahmasmi. It doesn't change at all. What was said 50,000 years back is what will be told even today. Tattvamasi. After Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. That's why we are so old fashioned, sir. It keeps, why can't we say something? Why can't we say something new? Why can't we make it look better? Why can't we make something different? No, we cannot do that. Why we cannot do that? That is not the nature of the truth. It's a proclamation. It's an announcement. See, what should have happened is that fellow should have spoken everything and then they should have come to this. Isn't it? Then only it is logical. Are you able to follow? Logical means you start with something and then go slowly develop the thought flow and then come to this conclusion. Here, the Upanishad does the opposite. The proclamation is common. The proclamation is done first. What is that? The infinite is born out of infinite. And yet, that which remains behind is infinite. The infinite is absorbed into infinite. And then, infinite remains infinite. This is the mantra. Correct? Again. Infinite is born out of infinite. And what remains behind this? What is left behind this? Infinite. That which comes out has to come back again. That which comes out has to come back. So when it comes back, what happens when it comes back? It remains the same. Why? Because when it went out, nothing happened. So naturally, when it comes inside, again nothing happens. Mathematics will not agree to this. Mathematics will say no. To an extent, you can even call it as anti-mathematical statement. Because when something comes out of it, there is a definite diminishing. And when it comes back, then only it regains its fullness. So how can you say that? The phenomena of life depends on a higher mathematics. The phenomena of life depends on some higher mathematics. What is that higher mathematics? We are ignorant of that higher mathematics. And in order to make us aware of the higher mathematics, a few words must be understood. The few words that are required for you to understand this Purnamadav Purnamidam is love, gratitude, giving, ocean, space. These are all the words that you have to understand if you really want to understand what Purnam is. Because it's a higher mathematics and we are very comfortable with the lower mathematics. What is the lower mathematics? I have 10, I give away 5, I am left with 5. I have 10, 5 is added. Oh, that is very good, sir. I have 10 and 5 is added. That 10 has become 15. I have 10, I give away 10. What I am left with is nothing. Because of our training and thinking is so confined to very ordinary mathematics, anything regarding the higher was there was a pause, no? I think it says the internet connection is not stable. Because even my internet is tired of hearing this Purna. Yeah. It is telling me take a break. I don't know where we left. I will restart again. Yeah. Where it paused, I don't know. So I will restart. Restart now. Don't worry. Oh, I will not start. Don't worry. Life depends on some higher mathematics. And if you have to understand Upanishad, and if you have to understand Vedanta, the thinking must shift to the higher mathematics. And what is higher mathematics? How much ever you give, it doesn't diminish. How much, if anything gets added, if anything comes in, again it doesn't increase. This is higher mathematics of life. And in order to understand this higher mathematics of life, instead of to understand Purnam, start with the word love, gratitude, giving, ocean, space, etc. What is that connection between Purnam and this? Okay. Ordinary mathematical person is afraid. What is the fear? Okay, take love. Take love. Love shared is love diminishing. Correct? That's why there is a fear. Don't say yes, yes, yes. Clear. Love shared means love diminishing. If you understand how much ever you share, it doesn't diminish at all. That is Purna. How much ever you share, it remains the same. Okay. What is the difference between ordinary mathematics and higher mathematics? A simple example, I have repeated it in so many other contexts. I will repeat it again. What is the difference between ordinary mathematics and higher mathematics? There is a beautiful painting. There is a beautiful painting. What is the material cost of that painting? What is the material cost of that painting? What is the labor cost? What is the profit margin? Correct? This is ordinary mathematics. What is the material cost? The canvas, the paint, the canvas, the paint, well, what all goes into the material cost. And then comes the labor cost. How long it took for you to paint it? Ram Subramanian, how long it takes to paint? Huh? Some days it will take. Okay. Some days it will take. Okay. Ordinary painter will charge 800 rupees a day. Now I will give you 1000 rupees a day. Extra also will give. So 6 days it takes. 6 days it takes, 8 days it takes. Calculate the material cost, calculate the labor cost, and your, obviously there has to be a profit. You calculate all that, the value of the painting will be 3,000, 4,000 rupees. And then someone comes and buys it for 50 million. People who don't know what to do with money only will do all this. Correct? People who have so much of money and not knowing what to do with it only will do. And yet, the artist says, even the 50 million that you have given is nowhere near the value of this painting. Even the 50 million that you gave is nowhere near the value of this painting. What mathematics it belongs to? This is the higher mathematics. Once you are attuned to the higher mathematics in life, Purnam becomes more easy to associate. Once you are attuned to the higher mathematics of life, then only Purnam you can associate. It means you have to get rid of your current way of thinking. You have to mature. You have to get rid of the current way of thinking and mature into the higher level of thinking. What is the higher level of thinking? We are ignorant about it. We live in a world where everything diminishes through distribution. Correct? We are living in a world where we believe that everything diminishes through distribution, sharing. That's why sharing, giving and all remains in words only. Yeah, it all remains in words only. Why? Because when I share, when I give, it diminishes. Full stop. It's pratyaksha, it is. It is pratyaksha, correct? Direct perception knowledge. Direct perceptible knowledge tells you that if you give, if you share, it will diminish. So it is quite natural. What? Everyone is afraid of giving. Shankar. Everyone is afraid of giving. Why? Because pratyaksha it is. What will I do? What will happen to me? What will I do? The person who understands this mantra fully understands a few. What? How much ever you give, it will not diminish. How much ever you receive, it will not increase. How much ever you give, it will not diminish. Second, how much ever you receive, it will not increase. Sir, all of a sudden, why are you blabbering like this, sir? All along you have been talking okay only. Not that all that you spoke made sense to us, but at least one and two things. But suddenly today it's only blabbering. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham. Like the ocean, samudra. Rivers going out of samudra doesn't make any difference to the ocean. Rivers entering into the ocean doesn't increase. The water leaving the ocean doesn't decrease. The water coming into the ocean doesn't increase. That's why the example of ocean is very important. Able to understand why we go on keep repeating the same examples again and again and again? How much ever it goes out doesn't diminish. How much ever it comes in, nothing. There is neither decrease by giving nor an increase by receiving. That is Purna. That is Purna. To understand it very simply, love giving, does it diminish, or love giving increases? The love. See, when you love, you can love that much more. When you love, you can love that much more. But how can you love so many people, sir? Okay, you can be friendly with all, sir, but love can be only for a few, no? Correct? Vedanta comes and says, no. How much ever you love, you can still love. You can still love more, because here it is not an ordinary mathematics. What is ordinary mathematics? What is ordinary mathematics? 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 minus 2 equals 0. Something is there. Higher mathematics says you add, nothing changes. You take away, nothing changes. It remains as it is. Why? Because it is Purnam. Because it is Purnam. You understand Purnam, all the virtues and values of life becomes Purnam. You don't understand this, all the virtues and values of life also is very limited. Fight in the family, no? Before children came, she was paying lot of attention to me, sir. Now that the children has come, she is not paying any attention to me at all. The husband is complaining about the wife, correct? Now that has come, love shared is misunderstood as love. Love shared is misunderstood as love diminished. Ordinary mathematics. Higher mathematics says love, gratitude, giving, all this is Purnam. Why? How can you say all this is Purnam? For how much ever you love, you can love that much more. How much ever you give, that is gratitude. No. How much ever you give, that giving doesn't diminish your gratitude. Today, I gave so much, sir. I feel relieved. What? My gratitude is over. How much ever you give, you understand gratitude. Gratitude goes on and on and on. It is Purnam. Gratitude goes on and on and on. It is Purnam. It is complete. It is. Those who live life on ordinary mathematics suffer. Those who understand higher mathematics can associate with the truth. Love means it should be focused on one person only, sir. Then only it is love. Even if the second person comes in, there is a fear. Correct? There is a fear. There is a worry. There is an agitation. Why? Because my portion of love is going to get diminished. Are you able to follow this example of love? If somebody shares the love, the first person starts getting agitated, worried, disturbed. Why? Because my portion of love is getting diminished. What is the beauty of love? Love belongs to the higher mathematics. What is the beauty of love? You love one, you can love so many with the same intensity, same thing. It doesn't diminish at all. If you have matured to that level of understanding, Purnam becomes a matter of contemplation. You can use Purnam and then come to the understanding Aham Brahmasmi. If we have not shifted our attention to higher mathematics and still live life on lower mathematics, Purnamada, Purnamidam and all will be very difficult to accept. So, till now, what we studied? Purnam. One word Purnam we studied till now. And then there are other things that also we have to study in the mantra. What is other things? Purnam Adaha, Purnam Idam. Adaha means that. Idam means this. That which is far away is Purnam. That which is near is Purnam. How do you understand what he meant by that and this? You could have straight away said, yeah, this is the problem of, again, Vedanta. Instead of saying that and this, why can't you simply say what that means? If you say, bring that, see, there are 200 things on the table, and you tell the person, get me that, what will you ask? What will you ask? See, if there is only one thing, it's very easy. Get that, you can only, now there are 200 things. And the person says, Adu kudupanna, what will you ask? Be precise. Why are you confused? Be precise. So, instead of saying what is that and what is this, why can't they straight away say that means what? This means what? Upanishad, following the classic tradition, defines idam and leaves that behind. And where is idam defined? The first mantra of Isavasya Upanishads defines idam. Isavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Tena tyaktena bunjitam agrudat kasya sviddanam. We are not studying Isavasya Upanishad here. We are only studying Purnamata. But why I quoted that mantra is idam is declared there. What is idam? This world. So from this we understand the Upanishad itself has defined idam. Isavasyam idam sarvam. All this, the world is pervaded by Lord. The world is Lord. Isha means Lord. Lord means Brahman. So idam means this. And this two pronouns refers to the single noun. Correct? Huh? And I get very confused with grammar. But this is very simple. It's not very complicated grammar at all. The two pronouns refer to the single noun Purnam. So that and this refers to Purnam. Now what is that and what is this? Infinite is that, infinite is this. Okay, now this that and this, little bit of inquiry into what is that and what is this. Before we go into the two pronouns, the first noun is very clear now. Purnam. What is Purnam? Infinite. Infinite means immeasurable. That which doesn't diminish. In any way, it doesn't diminish. Okay, to understand it practically, what is it that doesn't diminish? Love, gratitude, giving, ocean, space. All these are examples of Purnam which you can relate with. They are not complete. No way they are Purnam. Huh? Please understand, no way they are Purnam. But it is easy to relate with that. Another example of Purnam is space. You see and see, you go far and far and far and far and far, you know. Sometimes this, it is scientific superstition. Huh? It is scientific superstition. They say the size of the earth in relation to the sun, the size of the sun in relation to something else. Beyond a point, it is simply impossible whether no color solra marda irukudhu. It doesn't make any sense at all, isn't it? And how much ever you know, everything is existing already in space. It means, what is that space? Purnam it is. Purnam it is. For everything exists in space. Space is Purnam. It's Purnam. How much ever you know is much, much beyond. Ocean. What is the example of ocean? See, every day, so much of water is drained out of ocean. And every day, so much of water is poured into ocean. Correct? Both are happening, no? Every day, water is drained out of ocean, and every day, water is poured into the ocean. When it is draining, it doesn't make any difference. When it is poured back, it doesn't make any difference. That is Purnam. Example of ocean, space, etc. So Purnam we have understood now. And then also we found a practical method to relate to Purnam. What is a practical method to relate to Purnam? Evolve your thinking to higher mathematics. Evolve your thinking to higher mathematics. What is higher mathematics? That's what he calls it by increasing the circle of identification. It means you can love that much more. You can love that much more. You need not restrict it to just that few, just that one or two. Why you restrict it to that one or two is because of the misunderstanding of lower mathematics. What is the misunderstanding of lower mathematics? Love give, love share is love gone, diminished. All this we saw about Purnam. Are you okay with Purnam? Now we come to Adaha and Idam. You know her. Wednesday, you spoke about Purnamada, Purnamidam, sir. You said something else. Something and all you spoke. Suddenly you are saying something else. Today, what do we? What is it that we take? It is very, very confusing. Prasad, correct? Huh? Yeah, that you didn't say that. Today you are saying something. Next week, you will say something. Something else. Because it is the nature of Purnam is like that. No, what to do? The nature of Purnam is like that. Is it 2 plus 2 equals 4? Now, what else is there? You can't say anything. Here it is Purnam. It means so much you say, so much more is, so much, that much more can be said about this Purnam. So this we spoke about Purnam. Now we will discuss Adaha and Idam. Idam indicates all that is seen or known. Idam, one word Idam, everything is covered. What is everything that is covered in one word Idam? All that is seen, known is covered. So technically it is called Drishyam. That which is Drishyam is Idam. This is complete. Where is it complete, sir? Nothing is complete. Everything is so incomplete. Where is this Idam? Purnam. Purnam Adaha. That is also complete. That is also complete. This is also complete. Full, infinite. That is infinite. This is infinite. How can this be infinite? For we see this as Namarupa, for see this as limitation, that which is subject to change all the time, that which is changing, birth, growth, disease, decay, death, we keep talking about it as all the time. And then for the Upanishad to say, Idam is Purnam. How can Idam be Purnam that way? There's, it is answered. Don't worry. First we will, if these questions don't come, we will ask the question and then we'll give the, then the answer will be given. That refers to a distance. This refers to the near. That refers to a distance. This refers to closeness. That becomes this. That glass which was in the store, after I buy it, it becomes this. Correct? That turns into this. It means it was the same. It was the same always. It was the same always. Something in you changed and your understanding became complete now. That didn't change. It remained the same. That remained the Purnam. What is it? That means remoteness in time, place, knowledge. This means when that is destroyed. From another angle, that means that person means distance. Correct? There is a distance. That implies a distance. This implies a closeness. Closeness means that which is known. Thatness means that which is not. That person I don't know. This person I know. So it is the knowing that makes the difference between that and this. The moment you know, that becomes this. So adaha and idam is always in relation to the knowing. The adaha and idam is always in relation to your knowing. Even before you know it, in the process of knowing, after the knowing, it remains Purnam. Purnam adaha, Purnam idam. There cannot be Purnam plus something. There cannot be Purnam minus something. Purnam means Purnam. It means what? Necessarily it has to become formless. Necessarily it has to be formless. So Purnam cannot have a form. It can accommodate all types of forms. Remember that. It can accommodate all types of forms in it, and yet Purnam will not have a form. Purnam idam. And how much ever you talk about this mantra, at the end of the session, you always feel something vital is missing. Something important that this mantra is saying is not being said. Why? Because it cannot be said. That we know already. That we know it cannot be. Are you able to follow? Purnam means it has to necessarily be limitless. Limitless means it cannot have a form. Ocean doesn't have a form. Space doesn't have a form. Correct? Space doesn't have a form. It can accommodate all forms in it. But what is the form of space? This space itself is Purna. Relatively speaking, space itself is Purna. Why? Because space can accommodate all forms in it, but it should have its own original form, no sir? What is the original form of space? The original form of space is formless. The original space of space is, it's all space. It's not no space. It is all space. Knowing through sunlight versus knowing something through a torchlight in pitch darkness. Purnamadav Purnamidam, Vedantic type of knowledge is knowing in sunlight. All other types of knowing is in pitch darkness. You have in pitch darkness, you have a small lamp. No doubt the lamp reveals something. No doubt the light of the lamp reveals something. It gives you knowledge. But what is the nature of that knowledge? What is the quality of that knowledge? The nature of that knowledge, the quality of that knowledge is always limited. And limited knowledge is not knowledge. And there is another kind of knowing through sunlight. There is another kind of knowing through sunlight. And when sunlight comes, everything is revealed at once. Srikanth, புரியுதுல்ல example. Torch light which you can know. You can know something through the light of the torch. That is all worldly knowledge. You know something, no doubt you know. But then it's so narrow and so limited. That is one type of knowing. Another kind of knowing is knowing in sunlight. What is knowing in sunlight? You do not know one by one. You do not know one by one. You do not know bit by bit. You do not know gradually. At once, the complete is revealed. That's why we say the Gayatri Mantra to have this kind of knowledge. Dhiyo yo naf prachodayat. Dhiyo yo naf prachodayat. When we say this, we only say this. What? A light that reveals knowledge that doesn't reveal bit by bit. The knowledge that doesn't reveal part by part. The knowledge that reveals everything at once, completely. Knowing which there is nothing remains to be. Knowing that there is nothing remains to be known. Meaning, you see something in broad day sunlight, your knowing is complete. You need not know anything more than that. Adaha is Purnam. Idam is Purnam. The nature of Purnam being what it is, that Purnam must include this Purnam. All this, once you understand what is Purnam, rest becomes easy. The nature of Purnam being, what is it? What is the nature of Purnam? Purnam. Okay. The nature of Purnam is Purnam. That Purnam must include this Purnam, and this Purnam must include that Purnam. What is that and what is this? This is that which is known. That means Brahman, the reality which is unknown. The unknown reality is Purnam. The known perceivable objects and beings are also Purnam. Why? Because the known perceivable objects are also Brahman only. The known perceivable objects and beings are also Brahman only. How do we understand the known perceivable objects and beings are also Brahman? Gold and ornaments. This is where this example helps. Gold and ornaments. Clay and pot. All the pots of various shapes and sizes is nothing but clay. You can't say it came out of clay, correct? Even though in a very figurative way you can say pot came out of clay. But then on deeper understanding, what you should be able to know, even when it is existing as a pot, it is only clay. It is only clay. Even when it is existing as an ornament, it is only gold. Even when it is existing as various types of garments, it is only cotton. Are you able to follow? It means idam is also Purnam. For you to understand the idam as Purnam, the attention must be shifted from Nama Rupa to something else. Please carefully follow. Idam means the Nama Rupa is not infinite. The material, the basic material, you miss it and you get carried away by the Nama Rupa. What is the basic material that you miss? The gold as a basic material you miss and you get carried away by the ornament. So even when you are getting carried away by the ornament, what is it that is there really? What is it that is there truly? Gold. Remember Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's example? When a thief sees it, what does he see? The value he places to all the ornaments is because of not the not the shape, not the size. All have equal value. Why? Because it is all made up of gold. Idam is Purna. Idam means this world. From deeper angle, we have seen that already in the last chapter. That's why I'm not touching that. The properties of the we have seen that already. The properties of the properties of the snake is nothing but the properties of the rope. We have seen that already. It means what you see as idam, the snake, is nothing but the rope. In that sense, it is idam is also Purnam. What is that? That. What is that? The I, the consciousness. The I, the consciousness. That consciousness is Purnam. All this which is all this is nothing but consciousness. When you look at it, you have a choice. What is the choice? You can see the Nama Rupa and get carried away by the Nama Rupa, or you can see the material with which this Nama Rupa is made. We have seen that example, no? Carbon, diamond, charcoal, all that we have seen already. So, Nama Rupa you can see, or you can see the material with which this Nama Rupa is made up of. So, when we say Idam Purnam, the material with which it is made up of is Purnam. So, don't take the specific Nama Rupa as Purnam. Don't make that mistake. When you say Idam Purnam, don't make that mistake. We are expected not to make that mistake. Why? Because it is already elaborated in detail. What is it that is elaborated? In the intrinsic illusion and the extrinsic illusion, and in the combination of intrinsic and extrinsic, it is explained very clearly how idam is Purnam. So it is a logical continuity of it. Are you able to follow? You should be able to connect it with that. Then it will not be confusing. Try and connect it with that. The objectification, the object is Purnam, the subject is Purnam. That is that. That here refers to the true subject, the original subject. This refers to the phenomena. So that and this refers to that, and this refers to the subject and the object, and both are Purnam. Having said all this, you can say, if everything is Purnam, why bother with that and this? Why are you unnecessarily, if everything is Purnam, why bother with that and this and all this? Is it just a poetic license to make a riddle out of something that could be stated simply? Is it just to make it complicated? That which can be stated simply, are they making it complicated by that and this? Because my experience says nothing is Purnam. My experience says nothing is Purnam. Everything is Apurnam. Apurna means limited. How do I say that is Purnam and this is Purnam when all my experiences proves the contrary? When all my experiences prove the contrary. How do you answer this? This also has to be answered. How do you answer this? An individual seems to be an apurna, incomplete in various ways, correct? He feels incomplete. One feels incomplete. One feels inadequate, limited on all sides. Everything is limiting me. I can find no limitless fullness in me. Not only in me, this is what I'm seeing in everything around me also. The rose that is so beautiful in my hand is rose wilt. That's the word, no? It's wilting. It means it is slowly dying away. Wilting in my hand, the poet writes it. Wilting in my hand, pressed by time, relinquishing its space. Where is it full? So we find this adaha and idam limiting one another. Mutually, there is a mutual limitation. And yet, what is this declaration? Adaha Purnam, idam Purnam. What you call as experience is only a mithya. What you call as experience is only a mithya, a superimposition upon Purnam. It's a mithya. That's why you feel it like. And what is the nature of mithya? The nature of Purnam is limitless fullness. What is the nature of mithya? Temporary. Therefore, whenever your focus is anything on mithya, you will necessarily have to feel limited, inadequate. Because the very nature of mithya is to be limited, inadequate. That mithya can never be Purna. That mithya is not Purna. Remove the mithya, what remains is Purna. Okay. When you remove mithya, where it will go, sir? Somewhere it will go. Purnasya, Purnamadhaya, Purnameva vasishyate. Even when you remove the superimposition, Where it will go? It will go back into the same Purnam only. So for that superimposition, the superimposition itself came out of Purnam. It's complete. It's a beautiful, complete mantra. Are you able to follow? One invocatory mantra takes 3-4 classes, huh? But don't worry. With this, we finished Purnamada today. We're not going to do it. It takes 3-4 sessions even to understand this one single mantra. Purnamada, Purnamida. Om. Declaration. Om. Om refers to Om is Shabda Brahman, indicating the reality. So, the first word of Brahman is Om. The second word of Brahman is Purnam. And that word comes when the true method of teaching is difficult to comprehend. What is the true method of teaching that is difficult to comprehend? What is the true method of teaching that is difficult to comprehend? What is truth? Question. What is truth? Answer. Keep looking at that fellow who asked the question. Keep staring at the fellow who asked the question. That is the answer. How long can you stare? I will go and find out with somebody who knows the answer. This man is staring at me because he doesn't know the Brahman, quietness. And then the first proclamation of Brahman is Om. The second proclamation of Brahman is Purnam. And what is that? Adaha and Idam. And this Adaha and what is this Idam? Idam has a few. What is the few? Arises, exists, merges back. Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva, Vasishyate. Adiyum solnulla. Purnam we discussed. Adaha and Idam we discussed. What is this? Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva, Vasishyate. The waves that arise out of ocean, exist in ocean and merges back into ocean. Purnasya, Purnamadhaya, Purnameva Vasishyate. When from that infinite Brahman, when something comes out, nothing is reduced. Nothing is reduced. When it goes back, nothing is added. It means what? There is something so profound in life where addition, deletion doesn't exist, is not possible at all. Adam Purna. There is something so profound in life. There is something that is so meaningful in life. What? Addition is also not possible. Deletion is also not possible. If addition and deletion is not possible, multiplication and division is also not possible. Where nothing of this is possible there. What is that? In one word. In one word, it is called Purnam, infinite. In English, it is infinite. So, Purnasya, Purnamadhaya, Purnameva Vasishyate. It comes out of infinite and merges back into infinite. The pot comes out of clay, exists as clay and merges back into clay. The ornament comes out of gold, exists as gold and merges back into gold. Are you able to follow? This is Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadhaya, Purnameva Vasishyate. That's why one great Western person said, if all the Vedas, Vedanta, Upanishad and all that is gone, is not a problem. For this mantra has to be kept alive. Why? If this mantra is kept alive, the whole lot can be recollected. Why? Because Purnam is discussed, Adaha is discussed, Idam is discussed. And the true nature of Purnam, the true nature of Adaha, the true nature of Idam. It means what? There is only one. You can't even say there is only one. You have to say there is only Purnam. And in English, you call it as infinite, whole, complete, full. Any word you can use. So the mantra. Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnad, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadhaya, Purnameva Vasishyate. When they start studying the Upanishads in the traditional sense, the 10 Upanishads, the first Upanishad is Isa. The first Upanishad that will be studied is Isavasya Upanishad, and the first mantra is Purnamada, Purnamidam. It means what? What you are going to study is already told. This is what you are going to study is already told. It's a very extraordinary methodology of teaching. Instead of telling you, let us explore and we will find out together. What are we going to explore and find out together, Allah? This is what we are going to study. What is it that we are going to study? Purnam. If invocatory prayer is not understood, go to the mantra. Isavasyamidam sarvam. All that, even if you don't understand that, kurvan neveha dharmani najiji vishe. Okay, idallam onnume puriyala sir. What to do karma yoga. Don't worry about anything else. Just go back and start doing karma yoga, mature, and come back here. Beautiful sequence of thought. Purnam cannot have a form because it has to include everything. Purnam cannot have a form. Why? Because it has to include all forms. It has to swallow all forms. For it to swallow all forms, it cannot have a form. That is Purnam, and that is infinite. With this, we conclude the mantra for today. We will continue next week.
Prasad, Ramasubramanian and Mala have posted.
Anything related to what?
Prasad asks, can we compare moonlight also?
Can we compare moonlight also? Yes, any light you can use, Prasad, you can compare. What it means is something you know part by part by part. Another is you know it fully. So any light that reveals fully, why we don't use moonlight? We use only sunlight. You can use moonlight. You can use football light. You can use light from the space, any light, but we use sunlight. Why? Because it is the ultimate revealer. You can still use moonlight as long as you understand the concept. You have to unmute Prasad. He's saying something. Wait, Prasad, they will unmute you.
Yeah. No, I was only comparing this moonlight to the torchlight which you are referring, sir. I think it's...
Yes, the torchlight is the torchlight.
Can be compared to moonlight.
Teaches you by part. Moonlight is in relation to the torchlight. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want.
But we use the example of torch because only that portion is brightly lit. Why we use the example of torch? Because it has a very specific application. Are you able to follow? The torch is very useful because it focuses on something, it reveals it. But what it doesn't reveal?
Everything.
The total it doesn't reveal. What it doesn't reveal the interconnectivity with others, it doesn't reveal. It reveals something as though it is separate, isolated. Sunlight reveals beautifully. What is the revelation through sunlight? Everything is revealed at once, everything is revealed. That is the contemplative type of knowing. You don't know bit by bit. You know it
In whole, completely.
in whole, complete. Yes.
Thanks.
Ram Subramaniam. Could Akshaya Patra be called as Purnam? Because as it keeps feeding, does the Patra illustrate Purnam never diminishing? Yes, you can say that. You can say that. Because there are so many things that they talk about, that doesn't diminish at all. Correct. You can say that. Mala. What is Mala? No. There's no question from Mala. There is one more clarification we will take. Yes.
I'm not able to understand the material with reference to Nama Guna Karma. In case of pot, I'm seeing that pot is clay modified or extension of the same clay. So the material is clay, understandable. With reference to ornament, it is the same yellow metal which is seen all over. So I'm able to connect with the yellow metal. Because it's the same extension and modification of the same yellow metal. But with reference to Nama Guna Karma, I'm seeing billions of species that have no relation with each other at all. So what is that material that these species is made up of? Although I say in Panchikara process 5 elements are involved in Navakuda, how should I relate with what is that one material which will help me to understand that all species are made of that material only? How do I know that?
The question that she is asking is, with reference to clay and pot, it is very clear. With reference to gold and ornaments, it is very clear. But how does it apply to the species and the basic material?
It appears like every species is made up of different materials. Where is that one material which is giving rise to all other species of the same material?
That is where the example, what is that one material? What is that one common material? With reference to clay and pot, you have learnt it already. With reference to gold and ornament, you have learnt it already. You have learned to see it. Therefore, it is very clear. With reference to the species and Brahman, you have not yet learnt. You have not yet made that effort. You have not yet made that practice. Since that effort and practice is not done, you are not able to see it. With reference to clay and pot, gold and ornaments, you are able to straight away understand. Why? Because you have done the effort and understanding already. You are able to follow? It comes through consistent effort and practice. What is the material with which everything is made up of? Take another example, carbon and diamond. If somebody doesn't come and teach you, charcoal and diamond is one and the same, it is made up of carbon, it is one and the same, would it be possible to understand that example? Are you able to follow? That example will fit it. What is that example? Same material carbon is charcoal and diamond. If you have not studied chemistry before, if you have not studied that, if anybody comes and tells you charcoal and diamond is one and the same, you will say, I'll give you half a kg of charcoal. Why don't you give me half a kg of diamond? Because we are exchanging carbon only, no? Are you able to follow that? It is the same material carbon, that is charcoal and a diamond. Why are you able to understand? Because you have already gone through the process of that study and knowledge. Here we are only beginning. Therefore, you cannot act. What is that? It can't be told. You have to know it. You have to understand it, and by going through the process. Are you able to follow? Now the declaration. It's a declaration here. Declaration means you are not expected to understand. Declaration means you are not expected. Remember that. That's why I said declaration. Declaration means what? You are not expected to understand. The moment you understand the declaration, it becomes your wisdom. Are you able to follow the difference? So you have to go through the method, the process to understand. Unless you go through the method, the process, you will not be able to understand.
So material is not told, or it is told.
Material is told already. It is Brahman. It is Brahman, that is the subject. It is Brahman, that is the object. It is the same mind that becomes the dream subject. It is the same mind that becomes the dream object. The same mind is the temple, is the same mind is the sewage. The same mind is the sun. The same mind is darkness. Each and everything in the dream all comes out of, are you able to follow this example? All comes out of mind. How can the dreamer accept it? How can the dreamer understand that? How can the dreamer accept that the material is one? Are you able to follow? The dreamer cannot. And there is a method by which the dreamer can become the waker and understand. Without going through the method, the dreamer cannot ask this question. How everything is one. How each and every aspect of dream is one. The dreamer cannot understand unless the dreamer becomes the waker. Unless the dreamer becomes the waker, the dreamer is incapable of understanding. He may be the brightest, brilliantest, I don't know. Yeah, the brightest, the brilliantest, and all the tested and the best dreamer in dream cannot understand one thing. What? All are made up of one material mind. And what is the way for the dreamer to understand that? Follow the prescribed method and process and become the waker. So, one mind is a declaration in the beginning. That one mind has become this is your experience in the end. Both are one and the same. The declaration and your experience don't differ. In that sense, it is one. It's not the declaration is one, and when you experience it, you will experience it differently. No, the declaration is one, the experience is one. Are you able to follow? Yes. Is there anything else?
Venkatachalam has a clarity.
Yes, Venkatachalam. Are you okay with it? Yes, Venkatachalam.
My question relates to some of the discussions we had in the previous classes. The question is, consciousness reveals the thoughts in our mind. The consciousness being of a higher reality at the Paramarthika level reveals thought which is at a lower reality, which is a Vyavaharika reality. So my question is precisely that. How can a higher level of reality reveal a lower level of reality, with thoughts?
The higher state alone can reveal the true nature of the lower state. Just as the waking state alone can reveal the true nature of the dream state.
Okay.
The dream state can never reveal the true nature, which is the waking state. The waking state alone can reveal the true nature of the dream state. Meaning, it is not what we mean by revealing here is it tells you exactly what it is. Revealing here means what? As it is. It tells you exactly what it is. So, when consciousness reveals the thoughts, it is not revealing the thought. It is the consciousness that makes you even aware of the thought. The revealing, the understanding process of the thought is not consciousness. That is buddhi, the intellect. So what is it that even makes you aware that you have a thought? So when we say consciousness reveals, it's a simple awareness. And that awareness is picked up by the instrument, analysis, etc. will be done. But consciousness is the fundamental because it is that which, even for the instruments to wake up and do those things, the consciousness has to reveal the thought, no? In that sense, it is enlivener. In that sense, it is that which reveals everything. And it is of, when we say it is of higher, what is meant by higher is, it doesn't need anything else to reveal itself. It is higher. Higher means what? Higher here means the consciousness will not be requiring something else to
reveal
be
it.
aware that it is consciousness. Are you able to follow? When we say higher,
Yes.
higher means it is self-knowing.
Okay. Okay.
Lower means dependent knowing.
Okay.
Again, you have to have this vocabulary very clear. When we say higher means it is capable of self-knowing. Enlivening means it is self-knowing. Limited means dependent knowing.
Okay.
Epgoeric colors is the dependent knowing, because of that is what our eyesight frequency is. There may be infinite variations below and above, but we do not know it. Therefore, we can't say Epgoeric is the truth. Ultimate truth, we cannot say that. Why? Because it is limited. Why do we say limited? Because that knowledge itself is dependent on an instrument.
Okay.
Any instrumental dependent knowledge is limited. That which is self-revealing is higher. So consciousness is higher because it reveals itself.
Reveal.
It reveals itself. Are you able to follow? Venkatachalam?
Yes.
Lower means it is dependent. So when I say it is dependent, obviously limited by the limited knowledge means dependent knowledge. Dependent knowledge means limited, dependent on the limitation of the instrument. So lower means dependent knowledge. And no instrument can give you complete knowledge, because instrument means limited. That is why indicators of Brahman we say Sukshma Tat Sukshmataram, grosser than the grosser, subtler than the subtlest. How can one be gross and subtle? It's either gross or subtle. Yes.
So in this particular case, my confusion was because at the Paramarthika level, this is mithya, thoughts are mithya, and it is an illusion, doesn't exist, and it is on account of time, space, and causation, thoughts arise. Whereas at the Paramarthika level, just not.
Yes, at the highest level, the highest level is that which can exist all by itself and doesn't require any manifestation. Doesn't require any manifestation. It doesn't require any expression. It can exist all by itself. So when we say it is mithya, it means in vastness, mithya is this. Anything that is vast, a appearance is bound to happen. The vastness itself brings about an appearance, and that appearance is called mithya.
Okay.
If anything that is vastness has this nature of bringing about an appearance. Are you able to follow this? Swamiji gives this example, no? In a spoon of water, there is no wave. In a mug of water, there is no wave. In a bucket of water, there is no wave. In a vast ocean, there are waves. So, the very nature of vastness brings about an
appearance.
An appearance.
Okay.
The vast.
So all our superimposition.
Yes. But
all our superimposition are appearances.
Appearances. That's why we call it as, we don't call it as non-existence, we call it as superimposition appearance. Why we call it a superimposition and appearance? Because superimposition appearance means vastness has its inherent. Another example I conclude. One tree. What difference does it make? 100,000 trees. Forest, fear. One tree will not bring fear. 100,000 trees, which makes a forest. The vastness has a uniqueness. What is that? Vastness can bring about, and vastness can bring about appearances.
Okay.
We should not make the mistake of giving appearances a reality.
A reality.
Yes. That's why we call this Vyavaharika. It's an appearance,
Vyavaharika.
not Paramarthika, supreme.
Supreme.
Vyavaharika means two words he used, Paramarthika and Vyavaharika. For those who didn't understand these two words, what Paramarthika means is the supreme. What Vyavaharika means is that which you perceive. Practical, perceivable. So Vyavaharika means perceivable, Paramarthika means supreme. So what is the difference between the two? The Paramarthika being vastness, vastness being the nature, appearances happen.
Bound to happen.
Bound to happen. Example, beautiful example Swamiji gives. In a spoon of water, there are no waves. In a mug of water, there are no waves. In a bucket of water, there are no waves. Ocean, waves.
Waves.
Waves. Is it okay, Venkatachala?
Beautiful point.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. With this, we conclude for today and we continue with the chapter next week.